All right, Truth Man here. So I want to play this clip from Anthony Spade, and then I'm going to react to it. Here it is.
Oh, here's my traumas from the past. A girl's gonna look at you like, man, the fuck up.
If you can't share like a problem with your woman, I don't know what kind of relationship.
What are you talking about?
Hey, it could be something with work. It could be something with family. It could be just friends.
It could be something that a woman and you can handle together. But most things that men go through, you should not tell a woman.
Is a relationship meant to be an emotional sort of thing where you're sharing things together? Otherwise, it just looks like you're just finding buddies.
No,
you're just gonna make pregnant.
I agree with MJ on this. As a man, you should not cry in front of your woman. You should not complain in front of your woman. She is going to look at you as a weakling. The moment you start being emotional around a woman, she's going to take advantage of you. And we know that. We have Destiny responding. You let your girl run out here and sleep with whoever. So what he says really doesn't matter because he's a full-blown simp.
If you come at a girl with...
He called him a full-blown simp. All right, we're getting ready to react to this. I'm going to break this down. Anthony Spade is a Sigma. And it shows. Like I know the difference. I know the difference between a beta male, a Sigma male, which is in between, and an alpha male. So Sigma males are more indifferent. They got alpha and beta characteristics in them. They're kind of like right down the middle. You know, all beta characteristics are not bad. And people try to say this. They say, well, if you got to tell people you're an alpha, you're not an alpha. That's not always the case. Because sometimes that could be a warning from some. You know, it just depends on what the situation is. But what Anthony Spade was saying and what MJ Get Right is saying, he was in the Four Horsemen with Alpha Male Strategy, Steph is Cold, and I forgot the other dude's name. But I'm going to show you where I agree with them, and I'm going to show you where I disagree with them. And I'm going to show you why I disagree with them. So what we talking about is men crying. Is it weak for a man to cry? Okay, let's start with Anthony Spade. I get what Anthony Spade is saying. From the standpoint of how women are now, I agree with him. I do. Because these women look for every reason to think a man is weak and look down on a man as weak. So some guys, they see it as, I'm not going to show her my weakness. I'm not going to cry in front of her. I'm not going to complain in front of her, so on and so forth. So from a standpoint of how people are and how women are now, I agree with them. But where I disagree is that ain't how people supposed to be, man. Come on now. You don't cry, something is wrong with you. If you a man that can't cry, you not tough. Something is wrong with your heart. Something is wrong with your psyche. Something is wrong with you mentally. Because if you were created by the God of heaven, the God of heaven is perfectly emotional and perfectly stoic depending on whatever he is at the moment. Because he is the alpha, he is the omega. But if for you to be created by him and can't cry, come on now. Ain't nothing tough about that. So let me show you. I was in his comments. You'll see some of my comments if you go to that short. But when my father died, man, I cried like a baby. And my wife saw me. And who cares? Who cares? Because let me show you something, man. If she already know how I was, she saw it full blown. She know how I was. She know some of the things that I was doing out here in these streets. Because you can cry, that don't make. That's how I know y'all not real hood cat. Not that it's something to be desired, but I've seen the hoodest guys cry, man. Like the most goon, the biggest goons be having the biggest hearts. Little fake wannabe tough guys, they be trying not to cry and stuff. But man, When my guy J-Dog died, I preached his funeral. And I know the majority of the guys that was in there, I grew up with them. I know how they are. Crying like babies. Crying. That's this little 2023 stuff. Which, by the way, people also wear pink and wear tight pants, but who's keeping score? So we should go by people who wear pink and tight pants. We should learn how to be men from them. Come on now. Come on now. Not saying I ain't never seen Anthony Spade in pink. I know what Anthony Spade is saying. He's saying that you shouldn't do that. But what I'm saying is, if you can't show a woman who you really are, what you really think, what you really feel, this is why relationships are pointless. Because if that's how women are, where they gonna think you weak, if they, cause listen, man, I ain't gonna lie to you. It's some movies didn't get me, but you think I'm soft? Hey, listen. How can I say this in a nice way, in a YouTube friendly way? I will shoot someone. I will do violent acts if provoked, and to preserve life, and so on and so forth. More so than a lot of these guys that won't cry. Some of these guys that won't cry ain't never even had a fight. What? That's not masculinity, man. Crying is normal. It's a part of life. Now, if you cry over everything, like you get in an argument with your girl and you start crying, that's a little bit extra. But if somebody in your family dies, or you hear about something like, or you riding up the street and you see a kid get hit by a car or something like that, come on, man. Are you serious? I would literally want to take off on some of these guys for some of this stuff, man. Like literally. But I know it's not righteous for me to do so. It's just these guys get on my nerves sometimes with these fake bravados, man. You not masculine, you not tough going around starting stuff, and neither are you tough if you can't cry. If you can't cry, something is wrong with your heart, man. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. And matter of fact, not that we should be on YouTube. You better watch out for these guys that can't cry when they see something touching. Or I get what he's saying. What he's saying, I can agree with it from a standpoint of how people are now. But like I said, I don't agree with it from the standpoint of how people are supposed to be. You supposed to be emotional. Look, I can show you this. People done talk behind my back and say I'm too emotional because I'll stand on you. I'll get on your heels. Oh, he too emotional. So, but listen, the people that done said I was too emotional, let's break down what they do. Cheat on their wives think they faithful, but they not. If that ain't emotional, what is? Okay, so you say I'm too emotional, but you go home every night to a woman that you messing with women at work. You messing with the women at work, and I'm sure she done asked you about it, and you be like, nah, man, I don't F with them women, this, that, and the other. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. But you say I'm too emotional. No, you know what it is? You're too messy. See, a lot of people, they get being emotional and messy mixed up. See, if you go into a toxic job day after day, year after year, that you don't like, that you hate, you're a little messy, man, and you lack self-confidence. You a little messy. See, sometimes when people express how they really think of something, that's not being too emotional. That's being a realist in most of those cases. That's like not being fake. See, Being fake is popular now. Fake people are popular. People are fake being wealthy. People are fake this, fake that. And people will be just eating it up. Because being fake is the new norm. And being fake is what's going to lead a lot of y'all to the mark of the beast and ultimately to the lake of fire. They'll say stuff like, this is what they'll do. They'll be following a bisexual pastor and believing in him and giving him money. But because I say controversial things, they'll be saying I'm a false prophet and I'm fake. If you know so much, why don't you ask the Most High, am I a false prophet? I would be curious for you to know what he says. Because I already know. You came back, the Lord told me you was a false prophet. I'll be like, you're a Satanist. I know it for a fact now. So, but you got, like I say, destiny is indeed a simp and destiny is indeed a cuck according to his own revelations. But destiny is not always wrong. I've heard destiny on many different subjects. He's not always wrong. Because a person is a simp, that don't mean that they always wrong. It doesn't. Because on some of those aspects, I agree with what Destiny said. And what Destiny was saying is the same thing that girl was saying. She said, otherwise you'll just be F buddies. And she's right. Because look at it like this. Okay, if let's say, nothing against Anthony Spade. He's one of the content creators I like, and he's one of the ones I watch. But we all can disagree with one another. But let's just say everybody like takes the approach that Anthony Spade said, right? And we never complain in front of women, never cry in front of women. They don't know any of our true feelings, right? All they are is an F buddy then. Because if you in a relationship, that's why they call it relationship. What it is how you relate to one another. Y'all supposed to get in the boat and sail together. This is why if you can't relate to somebody, you shouldn't be in a relationship with them. Because what's going to happen is you're going to anchor the boat. Or they going to anchor the boat. It ain't going to be a smooth sail. It's not going to be moving. So if you're a guy and you just take this approach with all women, you just, only thing you talk about is superficial stuff, and they don't know none of your real emotions, your real feelings, and then you smashing them, that's just what they call a F buddy. Or in some cases, depending on how you do it, what they call a sneaky link. But if you share your emotions with a woman, let's say you did, like he said, childhood trauma. First of all, y'all gotta understand, ain't MJ get right like in his 20s? Like, ain't he a young guy? And I don't be trying to criticize, but sometimes it just has to be mentioned. Because you gotta understand that when you in your 20s sometimes, not all the time, because a lot of them dudes was in the comments that was in their 20s that understood. But sometimes, some people when they are in their 20s, they still haven't gained the wisdom yet. Especially if they the type that they can't nobody tell you nothing. You ain't gonna be wise. Because the wise 20-somethings, they'll sit back and they'll listen to people and they'll see what works and what don't. And then these are the ones that become wise as young men. But the worst thing in the world is for you to be in your 20s and people be pumping your head up. First of all, we not dogs. We're human beings. We're at the top of the food chain. We have the ability to reason. And the fact that we had the ability to reason is all the more reason why we should be real. We should listen. For instance, if I share my emotions with a person and they start trying to treat me like I'm weak, I'm dumping them off the rip. Dump. Ain't no way. I ain't got nothing for a woman who I let see who I really am on every side, and she tries to play me for weak. Nah, she ain't finna be around. In fact, I would say the total opposite. Be yourself fully and see how they react to you. These dudes, they just want to have, don't get me wrong, wanting to smash is normal and it's natural. But you to be a human being and that's all you want, something that's wrong inside, man. And I done told y'all this before. If you can't cry and you say you just want to smash, you don't want no type of cuddling, affection, friendly fun with a woman, something is wrong. What happened? That's where the who hurt you is really a truth. Who hurt you? Because, listen, man, I could be watching Cold Case. Y'all ever watch Cold Case? I was watching Cold Case the other night. And it's like sometime when I watch stuff, it could not even be like a real story. Well, some of them are, they just change names and stuff. And the depiction of it will get me. Like, I was watching the one where the guy was molesting the kids. And he was taking advantage of their mothers because their mothers had criminal records and stuff like that. So he was taking advantage of them. And so she came out the shower. She didn't know he was here. He was a social worker. She came out the shower and he was trying to caress, we'll just say, her daughter. And so when she confronted him, he threatened to take her daughter away from her, right? And so after he said that, he said, when you hear that knock on the door, just know that I'm going to take your daughter away, right? And so after that, she became overprotective and she was sleeping in the bed with her, hugging her and everything, like fearful. She was fearful. And so the guy, it was a black guy that was bringing her leftover food to help her and her daughter because they was kind of poor. And so he came over there to bring it. He knocked on the door and he pushed it. The door was open. And so when he tried to come through the other door, she thought it was the other guy. And she took her daughter and jumped out the window. And her daughter died, but she had brain injuries, but she lived. And so when they solved the case, they found out that it was the social worker that was the reason why she did that. And so when they found out he was doing that to them kids, they found the kids he was doing that to. The kids testified against him. And so, you know, on Cold Case, they be showing the person that died, like they be like in their own way saying thanks. They'll just be standing there looking creepy. Man, that thing got me, man. That got me, man. I'm watching that like, wow, that's bad. Because I was watching it like, excuse me, what if that really happened? If something like that really happened, right? And let's say it was the kid across the street. Or let's say it was somebody you knew. And that wouldn't touch you, man, you not tough. You was a punk. And you was a goofy one at that. See, I think guys be going to these gyms a little too much. And like nowadays, people can't really handle encouragement and compliments. It kind of go to their head and make them too cocky and arrogant. Man, you supposed to have, and maybe it's just us Libras. I ain't never seen a Libra that don't have some type of compassion, at least a little. Like even NBA YoungBoy, I saw him one day. He was like, let her get a hug. One of his fans, just one of his biggest fans, was just going out of her way just to get to him. And he stopped everything he was doing and gave her a hug. I bet that made her day. So, I mean, maybe it's just some of y'all signs, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. I don't know. I can't call it, but a man who can't cry, something is going on with you. I'm just gonna tell you flat out. If you could watch The Passion of the Christ and not cry, what? No, man, that even got my father. Now watch this. My father, he was like, hey, what y'all doing? Y'all want to go see this? I want to go see The Passion of the Christ. Y'all want to go? I said, yeah, we can go. So we all went to see The Passion of the Christ. Now keep in mind, my father never went to the movies. But he went to see that. It got him. I ain't never seen him like that. It ate me up. It ate me alive. If you can watch The Elephant Man, The Passion of the Christ, Cold Case, and just sit there like it's nothing, that ain't nothing cool. Something wrong with you. That's another movie that got me. The Elephant Man. Oh my. Man. And you see how I can admit that? You know why? Because I'm alpha. And I'm telling you I'm alpha. You gotta say it? I'm telling you. That don't matter, man. You not an alpha if you don't show your real emotion. Because an alpha will show you his real emotion and don't even give a crap what you think or what you talking about. That's the main thing that make people alpha. That's the main alpha tendency. If you care what people think, I ain't talking about you just trying to have the right image. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you care what people think, where everything about you is to impress others, man, you ain't no alpha. An alpha gonna wear his hair the way he want. An alpha gonna do what he wants. And he's not gonna really care what you think. Think about it. Samson. Remember Samson? From the Bible? Samson was 1 minute he'll be acting spiritual, the